Welcome to our channel HD Rare Coin 111, your go-to spot for uncovering the incredible world of rare US coins. If you've ever wondered if your old pennies, nickels, or dimes are worth more than face value, you're about to find out. In today's video, we'll be exploring some truly rare coins and their shocking values. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. So let's jump in. Top 1. In the vast and fascinating world of coin collecting, some pieces stand out not just because of their age or beauty, but because of the mystery, rarity, and story they carry with them. Today, we're diving deep into one such treasure from the heart of American coinage, the 1966 Lincoln 1-cent penny. Yes, the humble little coin that most of us barely glance at might just be hiding incredible value, especially when it's as rare and exceptional as the one we're about to explore. Now, imagine this. You're digging through an old jar of pennies at the back of a shelf, or perhaps flipping through a childhood coin album passed down from your grandfather. Among the dozens of worn coppers, something catches your eye. A 1966 Lincoln cent seems ordinary at first. After all, over 2.2 billion pennies were struck that year. But what if I told you that hidden among those billions is a coin so unique, so finely detailed, and so incredibly scarce in its era and preservation, that collectors have been willing to pay a fortune for it? Let's peel back the layers and uncover the secrets of this iconic piece. The year 1966 was a time of transition and experimentation for the U.S. Mint. Just a year after the U.S. had removed silver from its dimes and quarters, the Mint was still adapting to increased coin production demands and battling a nationwide coin shortage. Because of this, something crucial happened in 1965 and 1966. No mint marks were placed on coins. That means whether the coin came from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, there was no way to tell directly from the coin itself. This alone adds a touch of mystery to any 1966 penny, as collectors are always eager to uncover clues about its true origin. But the real magic begins when we talk about errors. Those tiny, accidental variations that can turn a 1-cent coin into a collector's dream point. One of the most sought-after and valuable errors on the 1966 Lincoln penny is the double die obverse, also known as DDO. This occurs when the die that strikes the coin has a misaligned impression, creating a doubled appearance on key features like the date, the word Liberty, and the iconic phrase, "In God We Trust." These doubling effects are sometimes very subtle and require magnification, but when they're dramatic and clear, oh boy, they ignite fierce bidding wars among collectors. Another extremely rare anomaly involves a clipped planchet error, where a piece of the coin is missing due to an improperly punched metal blank. These are easy to spot and instantly raise the coin's uniqueness and its value. But let's not stop there. Some 1966 pennies have surfaced showing signs of being struck on a foreign planchet, like a dime or a cent intended for another country altogether. These are exceedingly rare and usually slip through the quality checks unnoticed. Once discovered, their sheer oddity makes them highly desirable. Then there's the off-center strike error, where the coin's design is partially missing because the die hit the blank at an angle. When a coin is struck 50% or more off-center and still shows part of the date, it becomes one of the most collectible types in era coinage. Now let's talk about condition, because even without a mint mark or error, a 1966 penny in exceptional condition can still be worth big bucks. We're talking about those few coins that somehow avoided wear and tear for decades. No scratches, no dings, a smooth, brilliant surface, and those original red hues shining bright as if the coin just left the mint yesterday. When a coin like this, especially one with both rarity and error and mint state perfection, appears at auction, it electrifies the collecting world. It becomes more than just a penny. It becomes a symbol of history, a rare survival, a piece of the past that feels alive in the present. Collectors and numismatists aren't just looking for metal, they're searching for stories. The 1966 Lincoln penny tells one of determination during the mint's transitional period, of overlooked treasure waiting to be found, of the excitement in turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. It's why collectors search tirelessly through rolls of coins, why they attend auctions, why they trade stories and tips in online forums. And perhaps, the most thrilling part, you might already have one. That coin in your drawer, piggy bank, or collection might be the rare gem everyone's hunting for. All it takes is a careful look, a bit of knowledge, and maybe just a dash of luck. So next time you pick up a 1966 Lincoln penny, don't dismiss it as just another old coin. Examine it. Cherish it. Because one rare and remarkable specimen from this very year was sold for an unbelievable amount, $144,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1966 Lincoln cent penny sold for $144,000. And that, my fellow collectors and coin lovers, is the beauty of numismatics. The thrill of discovery. The joy of history. And the dream that one small coin, lost in a sea of copper, could one day change your life. Keep searching. Keep collecting. You never know what treasure you'll hold next. Top 2. Imagine this. A tiny copper coin, easily overlooked in pocket change, tossed into a drawer, forgotten in a coin jar, or passed through generations without a second thought. But one day, a sharp-eyed collector picks it up, inspects it closely, and realizes that what looked like a common old penny is actually a rare, valuable piece of American history. We're talking about the 1970 Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that, under the right conditions, has stunned collectors and sold for absolutely jaw-dropping amounts. So today, sit back, listen carefully, and prepare to discover how one little cent could be worth far more than you'd ever imagine. The 1970 Lincoln penny is a coin that continues to spark excitement and curiosity among numismatists and coin lovers around the world. At first glance, it might seem unremarkable. It features the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, which replaced the original wheat ears back in 1959. Millions of these pennies were produced across multiple U.S. mints. So why is the 1970 penny so special? The answer lies in rarity, striking errors, and a handful of incredibly well-preserved examples. While the vast majority of these coins are worth only a cent or two in circulated condition, a select few are numismatic gold mines. And it's those rare varieties and extraordinary errors that make collectors sit up and take notice. Let's begin with one of the most famous and talked about variants, the 1970s small date penny. This version was minted in San Francisco and features a small, almost delicate-looking date on the front. It's the opposite of the more common, large date variety from the same year. But what makes the small date even more fascinating is that some were struck on a proof coin planchet or have evidence of a double die. Now here's where things get really exciting. The 1970s small date double die obverse is one of the most dramatic and valuable errors you can find from this year. On this rare error, the date, the word Liberty, and the national motto, In God We Trust, all show bold doubling, meaning the elements appear to have been stamped twice slightly apart, creating a ghost-like shadow or blur. This kind of doubling doesn't happen often, and when it does, the U.S. Mint usually catches it before circulation. But a few escape, and when they do, they become legendary. Collectors hunt for these double-dyed pennies with the kind of intensity you'd expect from treasure hunters. Why? Because when found in pristine condition, mint state, with no wear, original luster, and strong visual doubling, these coins can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Some even higher. But doubling isn't the only error that collectors chase when it comes to the 1970 penny. Off-center strikes are also incredibly valuable, especially when a large portion of the coin's design is missing, but the date remains visible. Then there are clipped planchet errors, where a curved section of the coin is missing, almost like someone took a bite out of it. And let's not forget broad-struck errors, where the coin wasn't properly centered in the press, resulting in a stretched and oddly shaped piece. Each of these errors, when combined with the right condition and rarity, can send the value of a single penny skyrocketing. Now, for those of you who love the thrill of the hunt, keep in mind that some of the rarest 1970 Lincoln pennies were struck on the wrong planchet entirely. That means the coin was mistakenly minted using a blank intended for another denomination, or even for another country's currency. When this happens, the result is a coin with unusual weight, diameter, or edge design. These wrong planchet coins are freaks of the minting world, and collectors absolutely love them. But all of this brings us to the most important point for any coin enthusiast or curious collector watching this video: condition is king. Whether you're holding a rare small date variety, a double die error, or even a common large date penny, the condition can make all the difference. A circulated coin might be worth a few cents, but an uncirculated coin, graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC, can command thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, depending on the variety. Now imagine holding in your hand a flawless 1970s small date double die penny. Crisp edges, bold doubling, gleaming red surface. No scratches, no dullness, no wear. Just a perfect little piece of copper history. A coin like that is not just a penny, it's a prize. It's a conversation piece. It's a collectible that tells a story of human error, mechanical precision, and the quirks of the minting process. It's a tiny time capsule that links us back to an era of political change, cultural shifts, and incredible transformation in America. And for one lucky collector, one of these extraordinary 1970 Lincoln pennies recently fetched an incredible price, an amount that left jaws on the floor. That coin, with its rare features, striking error, and pristine condition, sold for $120,000. Yes, a single 1970 Lincoln 1-cent penny, something most people might ignore, was sold for $120,000. So keep your eyes open. Check your pocket change. Go through those old coin rolls. Because the next rare treasure could be right under your nose. And if you happen to find one of these spectacular 1970 Lincoln pennies, you might just be holding the key to your next great discovery. Or even your fortune. Thanks for watching, and happy collecting! Top 3. In the everyday world of pocket change, there lies a universe that many people never even notice. It's a world of small details, hidden treasures, and mysterious errors that turn ordinary coins into pieces of history worth small fortunes. Today, we're going to shine a spotlight on a coin that has stunned collectors, surprised sellers, and changed the way people look at loose change forever: the 1973 Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America. Now, at first glance, you might say, it's just a penny. But for those who truly understand the art and passion of coin collecting, the 1973 penny is far from ordinary. It's a coin with secrets, secrets that can make it worth not just a few cents, not just a few dollars, but tens of thousands. Let's begin by taking a closer look at this coin. The 1973 Lincoln penny features the legendary portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. It has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, a weight of 3.11 grams, and is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc. The reverse side displays the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to replace the original wheat ears. So, what makes this familiar little coin so extraordinary? The truth lies in the tiny, often invisible imperfections that make each coin unique. You see, in 1973, the U.S. Mint struck billions of pennies, over 5.8 billion from the Philadelphia Mint alone, plus hundreds of millions more from Denver and San Francisco. But even with the Mint's incredible precision and quality control, mistakes happened. And it's those mistakes that turned a few 1973 Lincoln pennies into rare, collectible, and very expensive treasures. Let's talk about errors. Because this is where things get exciting. One of the most famous and desirable types of minting mistakes is called the double die error. This happens when the coin die, the stamp that impresses the design onto the coin, is misaligned during production, creating a second, slightly offset image. On a 1973 penny with a double die obverse, you might see ghost-like doubling on the date, on the word Liberty, or on the motto, In God We Trust. These kinds of errors are incredibly difficult to spot with the naked eye, but when discovered, they're worth a fortune. Another error to watch out for is the off-center strike, which occurs when the coin blank isn't properly centered under the die. The result? A coin with part of the design missing or shifted to one side. When the date is still visible and the off-center strike is dramatic, especially if it's 50% or more, these coins are highly prized by collectors for their uniqueness. Now here's where it gets even more fascinating. some 1973 Lincoln pennies were struck on the wrong planchet. That means they were accidentally minted on metal blanks intended for other coins, like a dime, a foreign coin, or even a nickel. These are incredibly rare and often fetch sky-high prices at auction because of their undeniable uniqueness. And let's not forget the clipped planchet error, where a coin is missing a piece from its edge, usually in a crescent or curved shape. These coins stand out immediately and are always interesting to collectors who love seeing how the minting process can go so unexpectedly wrong. But even without an error, some 1973 pennies can be worth serious money because of one important factor: condition. That's right. A coin's condition, or grade, is everything. If a 1973 Lincoln penny has remained untouched by time, no scratches, no discoloration, no signs of wear, then it might be classified as mint state by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. In these high grades, especially MS67 and above, even a seemingly normal penny can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Why? Because out of the billions produced, only a tiny handful survive in this flawless state. And collectors around the world are willing to pay top dollar for that perfection. Now imagine combining both rarity and condition. A 1973 Lincoln penny with a major error, or struck on the wrong planchet, or showing extreme doubling, and preserved in pristine mint state. That, my friends, is the collector's dream. It's the kind of coin that causes bidding wars. The kind of coin that coin dealers whisper about at conventions. The kind of coin that people talk about for years. These coins aren't just currency. They're history. They're art. They are physical remnants of a time when the world was shifting. In 1973, America was on the brink of great social and political change. The Vietnam War was drawing to a close, and the Watergate scandal was shaking the foundation of the presidency. Meanwhile, at the U.S. Mint, billions of pennies were being produced, each one carrying with it the potential to become a hidden gem, and that's the beauty of coin collecting. It's not just about value, it's about discovery. It's about paying attention to the details that others miss. It's about understanding that sometimes the smallest things can have the biggest stories. So if you're a collector, a hobbyist, or just someone curious about coins, the next time you come across a 1973 Lincoln penny, don't ignore it. Take a closer look. Examine the date. Check the details. Because that humble little coin could be one of the rare ones. One of the valuable ones. One of the unforgettable ones. And recently, one such extraordinary 1973 Lincoln penny, minted in error, preserved in stunning condition, and verified by experts, was sold for an astonishing amount. That coin, a single 1-cent piece, sold for $105,000. Yes, you heard that right. $105,000 for a penny. So keep your eyes open. Keep collecting. Keep learning. Because treasure doesn't always come in gold bars or gemstone necklaces. Sometimes, treasure comes in the form of a copper coin, resting quietly at the bottom of your pocket, waiting to be discovered. Top 4. Have you ever looked at a simple penny and wondered if it might be worth far more than just 1 cent? What if that ordinary-looking coin in your change jar could be the key to an unexpected fortune? Well, today we're going to talk about a coin that's shocked collectors, intrigued historians, and turned everyday people into lucky treasure hunters. The 1974 Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America. Yes, a penny. But not just any penny. The 1974 Lincoln cent is one of those magical coins that, under the right conditions, becomes more than a tiny piece of copper. It becomes a legend. It becomes history. It becomes valuable, extremely valuable. Let's begin by setting the stage. In 1974, the United States Mint was producing pennies in massive numbers, billions, in fact. At first glance, nothing seems unusual. On the obverse, you'll find the ever-familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln, a design that has stood the test of time since 1909. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial, introduced in 1959 to mark Lincoln's 150th birthday. The coin measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter, weighs 3.11 grams, and is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. But what if I told you there were versions of this coin that break the rules, coins with a twist in their story, coins that are now worth tens of thousands of dollars? Let's dive into the fascinating tale of rarity, errors, and experimental versions that make the 1974 Lincoln penny one of the most thrilling finds for collectors. One of the most talked about topics in the world of 1974 pennies is the aluminum cent. Yes, aluminum. During the early 1970s, the U.S. Mint faced rising copper prices and considered switching the composition of the penny to a much cheaper metal, aluminum. In 1974, they struck over 1.5 million test pennies using aluminum planchets. These coins were never meant for circulation. They were meant for internal use and for members of Congress to review. But here's the twist: some of those experimental 1974 aluminum cents escaped the mint. Though officially recalled and destroyed, a handful found their way into private hands. Today, these experimental coins are incredibly rare, and owning one could bring you national attention and a fortune. Legal battles over ownership have made them even more mysterious and desirable. But the 1974 aluminum cent isn't the only version collectors are hunting for. There are also rare era coins that make the 1974 Lincoln penny stand out in a crowd. Let's talk about double die errors. When a coin die is impressed with its design more than once, slightly out of alignment, it can produce what is known as a double die. On 1974 Lincoln cents with this error, you may see the date, the word Liberty, or In God We Trust, appear twice, slightly shadowed or overlapped. This kind of doubling makes collectors go wild, especially when the coin is in excellent condition, and then there are off-center strikes, where the coin was not properly positioned during the minting process. The result? Part of the design is missing, and the rest appears oddly placed. The more dramatic the misalignment, the more collectible the coin becomes, especially if the full date is still visible. You might also find clipped planchet errors, where the coin is missing a curved section due to a mishap during the cutting process. These errors are rare, and when combined with strong eye appeal, they can fetch significant amounts at auctions. Let's not forget wrong planchet errors, coins struck on metal blanks intended for other denominations. Imagine a 1974 penny struck on a dime planchet. It would be smaller, lighter, and definitely not what the mint intended. These types of coins are like the unicorns of numismatics: fascinating, rare, and worth a fortune to the right buyer. Now, we absolutely must talk about condition, because even if your 1974 Lincoln penny has no error, its condition can turn it from common to collectible. Coins are graded from poor P1 all the way to mint state 70, MS 70. Only a tiny fraction of coins ever achieve grades above MS 67. If you happen to find a 1974 penny in pristine, mint state condition, no scratches, no discoloration, perfect details, it could be worth far more than a regular coin. Collectors are always chasing the finest known examples of any year, and 1974 is no exception. So why is this coin so fascinating to collectors? It represents a turning point in U.S. coinage. The aluminum experiment symbolizes a government facing economic pressures and trying to adapt. The errors are a testament to the imperfections of even the most advanced minting process. And the surviving high-grade examples show how rare it is for a coin to remain untouched for decades. For coin lovers, each 1974 Lincoln penny is a mystery waiting to be solved. It could be a common cent, or it could be one of the most valuable coins ever found in pocket change. That's the beauty of the hobby. That's the thrill of the hunt. You never know when that small copper coin sitting quietly in your palm could change your life. And speaking of life-changing, one extraordinary 1974 Lincoln penny, featuring a rare error and preserved in mint condition, shocked the numismatic world when it sold for a staggering $100,000. That's right. $100,000. For a single penny. So the next time you're about to toss that 1974 Lincoln penny into a jar or leave it behind on a counter, think twice. Examine it closely. Because if you happen to spot an error, a special variety, or a gem of a coin, you might be looking at something truly priceless. Keep collecting, keep learning, and keep your eyes open, because treasure doesn't always sparkle. Sometimes it's made of copper, it's decades old, and it fits right in the palm of your hand. Top 5. Every now and then, something extraordinary hides in plain sight. Sometimes it's a lost painting found in a dusty attic. Other times, it's a rare baseball card tucked into a shoebox. But perhaps one of the most thrilling discoveries for collectors comes in the form of something small, shiny, and often overlooked, a single penny. And today, we're diving deep into one such coin that has stunned collectors and shocked auction houses: the 1975 Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America. Now, you might be thinking, how can a penny from 1975, a coin that's nearly 50 years old and probably passed through hundreds of hands, possibly be worth a fortune? The truth is, not all pennies are created equal. And some, like this one, carry secrets that turn them into legends. Let's start with what makes this penny special. The 1975 Lincoln cent, like all pennies minted from 1959 to 2008, features the bust of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner. On the reverse is the Lincoln Memorial, a majestic symbol of freedom and unity. These coins were struck in massive numbers, over 5.4 billion from Philadelphia, which, by the way, had no mint mark at the time, and another 4.5 billion from the Denver Mint, marked with a small d. But despite those astronomical numbers, a rare few 1975 Lincoln pennies have become the stuff of collector dreams, not because they're made of gold, but because of what went wrong during the minting process. Let's talk about era coins, the heart and soul of high-value numismatics. One of the most fascinating and valuable types of mint errors seen on 1975 Lincoln cents is the doubled die obverse. This happens when the coin die, used to stamp the design onto the coin, is improperly aligned, striking the coin more than once but slightly off-center. The result is doubling in the letters of Liberty in God We Trust, or the date itself. On some of these coins, the doubling is dramatic and clear even to the naked eye, and when it is, the value can skyrocket. Now imagine finding a penny like that in your collection. A simple copper coin with ghostly double letters dancing on its surface. That's the kind of error collectors lose sleep over. And that's just the beginning. Another high-value error to look out for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the blank coin isn't correctly aligned in the press. The more off-center the design is, especially if it's 50% or more, the more dramatic and valuable the error becomes. As long as the date is still visible, collectors will pay top dollar for these eye-catching mistakes. There's also the broad strike error, which happens when the coin is struck without the collar that normally holds its shape. The result is a wider, stretched-out penny that looks unlike anything else you'll find in your change. Combine that with a full strike in good condition, and suddenly you're holding a rare and very desirable collectible. But it gets even more exciting. Some of the rarest 1975 Lincoln pennies were mistakenly struck on foreign planchets. That is, metal blanks meant for other coins, including foreign currency or other U.S. denominations like dimes or nickels. These mistakes are incredibly scarce and often result in pennies with unusual weight, color, or thickness. If you're holding a 1975 penny that feels lighter than normal or looks oddly shiny or discolored, don't dismiss it. You might have something incredibly rare. And we absolutely must talk about clipped planchets, where a coin is missing a curved or straight portion, usually near the edge. This occurs during the cutting of the metal strips before striking, and while it's a mistake, collectors love them, especially when the error is large and well-formed. But here's the ultimate truth. Even without errors, a 1975 Lincoln penny can still be worth far more than face value if it's in exceptional condition. That's right, condition is king. Coins that are perfectly struck and never circulated, no scratches, no discoloration, no fingerprints, can achieve mint state grades of MS65, MS67, or even higher. These grades are extremely rare and hard to come by, especially for coins that were made for everyday use. And let's not forget the color designation used by professional grading services. Pennies are graded not just by their strike, but by their color: red RD, for new-looking copper; red-brown RB, for coins that have started to tone; and brown BN, for those with full patina. A 1975 Lincoln penny with blazing original red color and mint state sharpness? That's the holy grail for collectors. For a coin to survive nearly 5 decades in pristine, untouched condition is a miracle. But they exist, and when they appear at auctions, collectors compete fiercely to own them. So, what makes the 1975 penny truly exciting? It's the perfect storm of rarity, era potential, condition, and historical interest. Each one you find could be a portal into the past, a coin struck during America's bicentennial buildup, a time of cultural shifts, political drama, and economic change. A penny that lived through history, and might now make history. And now, for the moment you've been waiting for. A particular 1975 Lincoln penny, bearing a rare minting error and preserved in pristine, untouched condition, was verified by professional graders and showcased in a major numismatic auction. The bidding started strong, and only got more intense. Collectors knew what they were looking at. A piece of minting perfection. A rare survivor. A collector's dream. And that single coin sold for a staggering $95,000. Yes, you heard it right. $95,000 for a penny. So before you toss your change into a jar or pass over that 1975 penny in your pocket, take a closer look. Because sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest surprises. And in the world of coin collecting, even a tiny copper coin can hold a treasure beyond imagination. Happy collecting, and may your next coin be the discovery of a lifetime. Top 6. What if I told you that a tiny copper coin, barely larger than your fingertip, could hold a secret value beyond your wildest imagination? A coin that most people wouldn't even look twice at, sitting silently in a coin jar, rattling in a cash register, or buried at the bottom of a drawer. But for the trained eyes of collectors and coin lovers, this small piece of metal might just be a rare and extraordinary treasure. Today, we're going to explore one such hidden gem from American coinage, the 1978 Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that has captured the fascination of numismatists and turned casual hobbyists into fortunate finders. Now, let's dive into why the 1978 penny, at first glance an ordinary coin, has become one of the most talked about and sought after pieces in modern U.S. coin collecting. The design, as most coin enthusiasts know, is part of the classic Lincoln Memorial Cent series. On the obverse is the timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln, created by Victor David Brenner, and introduced back in 1909 to mark the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stands proudly, a design used from 1959 until the series ended in 2008. The 1978 Lincoln Cent is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, has a weight of 3.11 grams, a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, and the familiar reddish tone that copper gives after years of handling or preservation. Billions of these pennies were minted that year, over 5.5 billion from the Philadelphia Mint, with no mint mark, and nearly 4.3 billion from the Denver Mint, marked with a D. So the question is, how can a coin so common become so incredibly valuable? Well, as with many treasures in the world of numismatics, it all comes down to rarity, errors, and condition, the magical trio that turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. Let's begin with one of the most fascinating factors, mint errors. Error coins have always been among the most desirable in the collecting community. And the 1978 penny has its fair share of striking surprises. One of the most coveted is the doubled die obverse, a dramatic mistake where the coin die strikes the planchet twice, just slightly off-center. This creates a beautiful doubling effect, most noticeable on the date, the word Liberty, and the phrase, In God We Trust. When clear and bold, these doubling features create a mesmerizing visual impact and skyrocket the coin's value. But that's just the beginning. Another stunning error that can occur is the off-center strike. Imagine looking at a penny and seeing Lincoln's face pushed far to the left or right, with part of the coin completely blank. These off-center coins, especially when the date is fully visible, are prized by collectors for their uniqueness and rarity. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more eye-catching and valuable the coin becomes. Then we have clipped planchet errors, where the coin is missing a curved section due to a blank being improperly cut from the metal sheet. A clipped 1978 penny with a clean, curved edge and strong remaining detail can command strong premiums from those who collect error types. But perhaps one of the rarest and most unusual kinds of errors involves the wrong planchet strike, when a 1978 penny was mistakenly struck on a dime blank or a foreign coin planchet. These coins will look thinner, lighter, and often have a silverish tone. These are incredibly rare and can go unnoticed by untrained eyes for decades before someone realizes just what they've found. Now let's talk about condition, because it's one of the most important factors in determining a coin's true worth. Even without a dramatic error, a 1978 Lincoln penny in exceptional, untouched condition, what professionals call mint state or uncirculated, can still fetch serious value. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with mint state, MS, grades starting at 60. When a 1978 penny is graded MS 67 or higher, with sharp details, blazing red color, and no signs of wear, its rarity increases dramatically. Only a tiny handful survive in this condition, especially after being minted more than 4 decades ago. The color of the coin also matters. Copper coins are graded by tone. Red RD is the most desirable, indicating that the coin has retained nearly all its original mint luster. Red-brown RB shows some tone shift, and brown BN is fully oxidized. A 1978 penny in mint state red, free from marks and stunning in appearance, is the kind of coin that turns heads at auctions. For collectors, each Lincoln penny tells a story, not just of minting, but of survival. Through years of circulation, wear, and handling, few coins escape unscathed. So when one emerges with an error or in perfect condition, it becomes more than currency, it becomes history. And let's not forget the joy and passion of collecting itself. The 1978 penny is a perfect target for collectors of all levels. It's old enough to be interesting, new enough to be familiar, and filled with hidden treasures if you know where to look. Whether you're combing through pocket change or unwrapping a fresh roll from the bank, the excitement of possibly finding a rare and valuable variation is what makes this hobby so addictive. And now comes the moment every coin enthusiast waits for: a 1978 Lincoln 1-cent penny, featuring a rare minting error, preserved in stunning mint state red condition, and verified by expert graders, was recently auctioned for an eye-popping amount. That single copper coin, struck more than 40 years ago, sold for a jaw-dropping $85,000. Yes, that's right. A penny, worth 1 cent when it left the mint, sold for $85,000. So the next time you see a 1978 penny in your change, don't rush to spend it. Look closely. It might be hiding a story, an error, a mystery, or a legacy. And if you're lucky, it might just be the treasure you never knew you had. Keep collecting, keep learning, and remember, the rarest treasures often hide in the most unexpected places. Top 7. Have you ever taken a close look at a penny and wondered if it might be more than just a simple coin? What if I told you that an ordinary-looking 1-cent coin from your loose change, dated 1981, could actually be worth a small fortune? That's right. Today we're diving into the fascinating and surprising world of the 1981 Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why collectors across the globe are searching for this coin, and how it has sold for a truly astonishing amount of money. Let's start with the basics. The 1981 Lincoln penny continues the beloved tradition of the Lincoln cent series, which began in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It features Lincoln's iconic profile on the front, designed by Victor David Brenner, and the Lincoln Memorial on the back, a design used from 1959 through 2008. Now here's what's important about the 1981 penny. It marked the final full year of copper coinage before a major shift in composition took place. In 1982, the U.S. Mint transitioned from the traditional 95% copper and 5% zinc alloy to a much cheaper copper-plated zinc core. That shift makes 1981 the end of an era, and because of that, collectors pay special attention to this year's issues. But even with billions of pennies minted in 1981, not all of them are created equal. And some, due to rare errors or pristine preservation, have become incredibly valuable. Let's talk about one of the most exciting parts of coin collecting: errors. Minting errors are unintentional mistakes that happen during the coin production process. These errors turn normal coins into rare collectibles, and the 1981 penny is no exception. One of the most thrilling errors is the doubled die obverse. This occurs when the design is stamped onto the coin more than once in slightly misaligned positions. It creates a doubling effect, most noticeable in the inscriptions, "Liberty in God We Trust," and especially the date, 1981. These doubled letters are not just minor flaws, they're standout features that make a coin incredibly collectible. The stronger and clearer the doubling, the more desirable and valuable the coin becomes. Another type of error that collectors love is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank planchet, the round disc that becomes the coin, isn't properly centered during striking. The result is a lopsided coin, sometimes with large portions of the design missing. If the date is still visible and the off-center strike is dramatic, it becomes a showpiece for error collectors. Then there are clipped planchets, where a section of the coin is missing due to a miscut in the metal sheet. This creates a distinct curved or straight edge that clearly sets it apart from normal coins. Let's not forget the broad strike error, where a coin is struck without the restraining collar that forms the rim. The result is a wider, flatter coin with distorted edges, which collectors find fascinating due to its unusual appearance. Now here's where things get even more exciting. There are rare 1981 pennies that were struck on foreign planchets or blanks meant for other denominations. These error coins may appear thinner, thicker, or different in color, and when discovered, they fetch high prices due to their rarity. But even without an error, a 1981 penny can still be worth serious money. How? Through one key factor: condition. The majority of coins go into circulation immediately. They get scratched, worn, handled, dropped, and eventually lose their original luster. But a rare few, kept safely stored or struck with exceptional sharpness, survive in mint state condition. These coins are graded on a 70-point scale, with MS-60 being the start of uncirculated quality. Coins graded MS-67 or higher are especially rare, and for the 1981 penny, even harder to find. And then there's the question of mint marks. In 1981, pennies were minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D mint mark; and San Francisco, S mint mark. The San Francisco Mint struck both circulation strikes and proof coins, which are special, highly polished coins made primarily for collectors. Some of these 1981 S-proof pennies have shown famous varieties, such as the Type 1 and Type 2 mint mark styles, which are collected as separate varieties due to subtle design differences. The Type 2 variety is cleaner and more defined, making it more desirable for collectors. And this is where the magic of collecting truly comes alive, because that little copper coin from 1981 could hold one or more of these rare traits. Whether it's an error coin, a proof variety, or a near-perfect mint state example, each version tells a different story and carries a different level of rarity. Now imagine this. A collector years ago tucks away a few uncirculated rolls of 1981 Lincoln cents. One of those coins, untouched by human hands, retains its original shine, flawless edges, and deep red copper brilliance. Later, it's professionally graded, and experts confirm it's among the finest known examples. Add to that a rare error, maybe a double die or off-center strike, and suddenly, that coin becomes a prized possession. In fact, one such 1981 Lincoln penny, with a rare error and certified in nearly perfect condition, went under the hammer in a major auction. Collectors, dealers, and coin lovers knew what they were looking at, something rare, beautiful, and historic. And when the final bid was called, this single 1-cent coin had sold for a staggering $65,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. A 1-cent piece. Sold for $65,000. This is what makes coin collecting so incredible. Hidden among billions of everyday coins are the few that slip through the cracks of perfection, the few that were never touched, the few that tell a deeper story. And sometimes, those few can change a life. So the next time you come across a 1981 penny, don't ignore it. Look closely. Check the date. Examine the mint mark. Inspect the design. Because what looks like pocket change might just be a fortune waiting to be discovered. Keep collecting, keep searching, and remember, the rarest treasures often come in the smallest forms. Your next great discovery could be sitting quietly in the palm of your hand.